Welcome to Wildlife Outdoors with your host, Russell and Jose. If you have a passion for conservation of the outdoors, or you're enjoying a calming hike in the mountains, an exhilarating kayak trip on the river, feeling a fish on the end of your line, cooking on an open flame in a primitive campsite, or stalking big game, just waiting for the perfect shot, you're in the right place. So put on your boots and polarized sunglasses and come along for the ride.
Welcome back to Wildlife Outdoors. Today we are joined by a dedicated father, a fellow business owner, and somebody that we grew up with, both me and Jose. His name is Nicklaus Montey. So everybody say hello to Nick. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Living the dream.
You want to give a little intro about yourself? I want to tell our listeners who you are and what you're about?
Yeah, man. Yeah, so like I said, when we grew up together, I think we go back to Wallace. I think we go back to middle school.
I think that's where we met.
Yeah, we would go back to middle school, went to high school together. I'm originally from Austin, Texas, and currently residing in Nevada. I got a couple of beautiful kids and good business, and we're excited for some future adventures, man. But I'm an outdoors guy. Love sports, love being outdoors, love hanging out with the family, and just trying to make it up in this world.
Yep. Don't we all? We're all trying to do the same thing.
trying to climb that ladder, baby.
Right.
That ladder's got a lot of grease on it, but we can get past that. We'll be all right.
Hey, as long as you hold on with one hand.
Right. Yeah.
So about the business, tell us a little bit about your business.
So it's a swimming pool business. So I actually have a couple of them. So I own a swimming pool company here in Nevada. Been doing swimming pool work for a long time, since I was 6 years old. My dad ran a business in San Antonio, Texas, and my stepmom, they ran a successful business up until he passed away. And so I've been doing it most of my life, and being good at what I do anywhere I go, that's typically what I fall back on. The other company that I help manage is another family business. It's XRAM Electric, which is an electric company down in Austin, Texas, and it's ran by my mom and my stepdad. And I just sort of help where I can. Yeah, I mean, we're just a hardworking family. I mean, that's what we are. We work hard. We don't know any different. We were raised good times, bad times, didn't matter. We went to work. It's successful. I mean, we do all right. But there's always that time when it's time to just get on to something else.
Right. Ain't that the truth? Well, that's kind of blue collar people that we like having on and talking to, people that are real relatable. So I'm happy to have you on. And if y'all are wondering why Jose is not here, he is under the weather. I think he said he had an ear infection and his ear's all swollen. He's in pain. He can't hear. So he's not on this episode. So we're going to go ahead and have Nick on as kind of a replacement. And today we're going to talk about some camping, some hiking, maybe throwing a little bit of college football. Me and Nick are both just huge Longhorn fans. We love college football, and right now it's that time of season. So, we're pretty excited about the Longhorns this year. I mean, I know me and Jose talked about it previously, but freaking stoked, man. Playoff berth. I mean, look at us.
Yeah, man. So far for the last 10 years, it's been the Alabama Invitational.
Right.
It's been dominated by them, but I'm happy to see that, after what are we looking at? 14 years now, since 2009.
Yep.
Was the last time we were in. So, here we are, finally back on top. And, I think college football is better when Texas is better. When Texas is winning, it's game over. And what I really like about this too, and I'm not a big fan of the way Florida State, we can get into this, but I'm not a big fan of the way Florida State got hosed. But you have Michigan, Washington, Texas, and Alabama. Michigan just crossed 1,000 wins in their school history. Alabama's either crossed it or not far from it, but they got the most championships. Texas is not far from 1,000 wins. Matter of fact, what I'm thinking about? I think they might have crossed that already.
I don't think so.
I
think we're close.
They're close, and they've got 5 championships. So you have three teams, because Washington, they were great back in the 70s. It's going to be a rematch between Texas and Washington. But what I'm interested in seeing is, because we know Texas is going to beat Washington. I just don't want to see it any other way. Texas is going to beat Washington.
I don't want to see it any other way either, but I'm scared, honestly.
But you got a rematch from last year's Alamo Bowl, which is kind of cool.
Exactly.
You've got a rematch of the 2003 Rose Bowl between Texas and Michigan could potentially happen. And then you got a rematch between Texas and Alabama from the 2009 championship that could potentially happen. Hopefully, if it's an Alabama rematch, we don't get any cheap shots after, a 4th and 2nd or whatever that was.
Right.
When Colt McCoy went down. I still got some hurt feelings about that. But
I'm always going to keep hurt feelings about that.
Oh, man.
There's 2 plays. That's one of them. And the other play that always chaps my ass is the Michael Crabtree catch.
Oh, dude.
That was, if they would have just wrapped up on him and he didn't score that touchdown, we could have potentially made it to the freaking national championship that year, but ended up losing to them. And
now you're just trying to make me cry. That's just bad. I was sitting in a house full of Texas Tech fans when that happened, because it was my dad, my stepmom, I think my sister Alexis was there. She went to Texas Tech, so there was a lot of Texas Tech pride in that house. I'm the only Longhorn. My older brother went to Texas A&M, bless his heart, and so when that happened, it was like all eyes on me. Everybody's just like, yeah, what? I'm like, oh my God, I wanted to break my television, but yeah, that one we could have gone, but the Alabama one is interesting. But in all of that, though, man, someone got hosed. We got to address the elephant in that room.
Yep, Florida State undefeated.
Florida State got hosed,
13-0, and didn't make it in.
See, I was listening to a couple of different. I think Stephen A. said this on TV. He said, if Deion Sanders was coaching Florida State, they would have been in. And I find some truth in that, because Florida State, Deion Sanders, the prime time, the whole 9 yards. Yeah. I think, yes, there's a lot of truth to that in that respect. But everybody's looking at Florida State like, oh, you don't have your quarterback, so, what kind of matchup would it be? It's like, dude, they won 2 more games, including the ACC title game, without a quarterback.
Yeah.
That's called a team. Last I checked, we're looking for a team to win. So, he's not going to get a Heisman Trophy. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
But that's a team,
Exactly.
So to me, there should really be 3 undefeated teams and then Texas, because there's no way Alabama gets in if Florida State gets in because Texas beat them,
Exactly.
So I felt like, Florida State got hosed. What would really be interesting, now the argument goes both ways, right? So if they go in and play Georgia, which I think they're playing them, at the Sugar Bowl? No, not the Sugar Bowl.
Orange Bowl, maybe?
Maybe I think it's the Orange Bowl. And if they go in and beat Georgia, okay, now the committee's got to eat shit.
Exactly.
But if Georgia goes and mops the floor with them, okay.
Maybe they saw something.
Maybe they saw something. Maybe Florida State's just not ready for that kind of competition.
Yeah.
Because after all, it is still the ACC, but their strength of record was 3rd best in NCAA. So they still beat somebody. It was 3rd best in all of college football. But if Georgia goes and just absolutely beats them like a redheaded stepchild, then okay, you got it right. But if Florida State just beats them even by a point, they're going to be like, hey,
exactly.
What could have been? What could have been? Yeah. Because maybe they beat Michigan. Maybe they beat whoever, right? So, and then I think the other side of it too is if Michigan just absolutely manhandles Alabama, then we all know, like, okay, no, you were not one of the best.
Yep.
Florida State should have been in there. Georgia is not. Georgia is definitely not one of the. Are they one of the better teams in the country? Yes, but on record, they lost.
They didn't win the SEC championship. They lost to an Alabama team that almost lost to an Auburn team that got hosed the week before.
They had a couple of close games.
Yeah, they had a lot of close games. They almost lost to Arkansas. Arkansas was.
What's interesting? I didn't hear this, but Texas. I think what helped Alabama get in was the fact that Texas got in.
Yeah.
Because Texas beat them, they beat the SEC champion. Really, what should have been the SEC champions. I was like, dude, this could happen. By the 4th quarter, I'm like, this could happen.
Yeah.
So I think them getting elevated brought Alabama up.
Yeah. See, and my thing is, I was hopeful that Florida State would lose and Alabama would win for Texas's hopes to get in, and Florida State pulled it out. And I still think they should have been in. Granted, if Florida State would have been in rather than Texas and Alabama would have been in, I would have been absolutely pissed. But I was hopeful for Texas to make it to the playoffs. So I was kind of hoping Florida State would drop out. But then seeing how it all transpired and Texas at number 3, Bama at 4, Florida State undefeated and still not in, I just think that's, I mean, something doesn't seem right with it.
I'll put it like this. If Georgia wins, Texas is out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that Texas is out. Because if Georgia wins, you have Georgia, Michigan, Washington. Who's going to fill that 4th spot? Florida State wins, they're in, right? So Georgia losing shook up everything.
Yep. And Georgia losing made them want to put Alabama in because they just beat the number 1 team, but they can't put Bama in without putting Texas in because Texas won the head-to-head.
Yeah. So as far as money goes, I mean, I get the whole argument with money. Thankfully, next year is going to be a little different. I mean, you're going to have 12-team playoff. Yeah. I think it's all the conference champions get in. I think is what it
something
is, right?
like that. I think it's going to probably be something like that, and then there's going to be, they'll probably say all the Power Fives will be in
automatic,
and then I think it'll be at large for the other 7 teams, which a lot of them will most likely be Group of 5 champions. But
I mean, and I think that's the right way to do it. I think if you win a conference champion, no matter whether you're big or small school, you win a conference championship, get in and go. Because like James Madison almost went undefeated.
Yeah.
You had who was the other school? There was another small school that did really well. Liberty did a really good job. Yeah. So you have these group of 5. Okay, cool, and then maybe a 2 at large to fill it to round it out. Yeah. But I mean, we're not even going to have a Big 5. A Power 5 because Pac-12's gone.
Yeah, Pac-12's gone. So
so you got Big 10,
ACC,
SEC, Big 12. Yeah. So who rounds that out? So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. So I mean, we won't have to worry about a situation like a Florida State ever happening again. And I think the further down the list you get, the less people care.
Right.
You got hosed. Well, and you're not one of them. So nobody really cares.
I want to know how they're going to play each other. So like right now it's 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3. I wonder how they're going to split those up when there's 12 teams.
From what I read, I think it's the first 2 teams get a bye. And then the top 2 ranked teams get a bye. And then after that, it's like kind of like the same thing. 3 versus 12, 4 versus 11 or whatever.
Ooh, that'll be tough. That's most likely always going to be a Power 5 against a Group of 5, which, I mean, in years past could have been a great thing. I mean, you see UCF and Cincinnati and, the likes of those that had really solid seasons and got shafted. That's their opportunity,
It is. And I mean, you think about what can happen in college football. I mean, wasn't that long ago you had Appalachian State upset Michigan.
Yep.
You've had
you had Texas State upset Baylor this year. That was freaking awesome.
And then Texas State is a Sun Belt conference team. So you have those opportunities where you have a small team. Even I think Old Dominion went in and beat somebody 4 or 5 years ago. So you have, and that's how they got in. James Madison upset somebody. That's how they got in. And they're like, hey, we can play with these guys.
Yeah.
So I mean, the possibilities are all there, which makes it fun. And it's like, hey, what happens if a 12 team beats a 3rd ranked team, right? And that 12 team beats now your national title is back here, not where quote unquote the big dollars are.
Exactly. So
I'm
excited.
And you know what's spreading it out though? This is what's making it interesting. As much as I'm not a fan of college players making all this money, or at least getting compensation in some way for their likeness, it's allowing these universities to say, hey, instead of traveling across country to USC or to a Florida or to wherever to play, we can facilitate that. And instead of being one of 5 wide receivers or one of 3 quarterbacks or one of 6 running backs, in like Texas's case, I've got like 8 running backs on the roster.
Right.
It's like an Arch Manning, right? Thank God he's at Texas, right? I mean, we need that guy. We the polarization of the Manning family. I mean, poor guy. I mean, his role models growing up just happened to be 2 first ballot Hall of Famers.
Right.
I mean, poor dude. Like, it's not like he's got that kind. Swear to God, if he gets in there and starts saying Omaha, I'm buying a shirt. If that happens, he better come up with his own cadence. But if he says Omaha,
Right.
I'm buying a shirt. I'll buy a Peyton Manning shirt. But it's allowing them to spread the market out a little bit, and now you've got guys. Louisville had a good season.
Mm-hmm.
I think the military academies are going to start doing a little bit better because they can. I don't think they'll participate too much in it, but they'll get a little more polarization.
What's crazy to me to think about that the military programs, they still have to abide by the size restrictions in whatever branch they're in. So, I mean, you have linemen in there that are sub 200 pounds just because of what their job is, and it's freaking crazy that they are able to have success doing that.
That tells you how tough some bitches are. You got a lineman that's 190 pounds going up against a defensive lineman that's 300 pounds, probably ate him for breakfast and then spit him out.
Yep.
It's like, he's got to be 190 pounds. This dude's still got to fit in the cockpit, in case of Air Force, the Air Force Academy.
Yep.
So, or somebody's got to squeeze through a door on a ship. It's like, but he will beat the hell out of you.
Yep.
Like he will take you out. So it's like it's funny to look at how they're being successful. But I think all of these schools, Colorado's going to. We're only a year or two away from Colorado really taking off.
Right.
Iowa, is starting to have good years, which they always seem to be a little bit of a sleeper.
Yeah.
You got.
Well, it's going to make a big difference now that the Big Ten isn't going to have divisions like they have been. So they're not going to only be playing the Big Ten championship. They're going to have more contested teams during the season. They're going to be able to play the Michigans, the Ohio States, the Penn States every year. So it's not going to be just a championship type of thing either.
And that's the other thing too, is like now you're going to have basically Michigan and Ohio State every year. Like, who's going to be in the Big Ten title game.
Yep. Well,
like now
I think that's going to change.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it could too. And that, but this argument of like who the better teams are, and like Ohio State thought they should get in, and Georgia's like, oh, we should get in. And like, no, dude. So I think the shakeup of the way it's going, I think it's going to pan out really well. And I think it what it does too is in some cases it takes away the recruiting power from the big ones and moves it to some of the smaller guys. So Texas Techs are going to get better recruiting. Iowa States are going to get better recruiting. Mississippi's going to get better recruiting. You're going to see teams in North Carolina and South Carolina where there's a lot of talent. They're going to have better recruiting. Clemson's going to come up. So I think Miami is going to get better recruiting.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to see the rise of a lot of these old school rivalries and the old school, teams that were really good. I think we're going to see a rise of them, and good because for like I said, like I opened with, the last 10 years, man, it's been the Alabama Invitational. They've been there every single year. Whether it's one SEC team or two SEC teams, they're there every year. And then it's never going to stop because now there's 12 teams. I don't think it's going to stop unless Alabama falls off the map. But at least now it's not Alabama's a third or fourth ranked team when they really shouldn't have gotten in. Because there's a couple of years they should not have gotten in.
Yeah. But, I mean, speaking on spreading the talent out and stuff like that, I think it makes a huge difference because, I mean, you look at, past years, Ohio State was like a freaking quarterback factory. They have their third string going out, still winning national championships. Like it's nuts that just the depth that these teams have had. And now there's going to be more likelihood that those second and third string stars are going to go somewhere else because they can make money there and be a starter. I mean, you're going to have like Jalen Hurts left Alabama and went to freaking Oklahoma. It's stuff like that you're going to have a lot more of that, which is going to be exciting. And then you're going to, in turn have more upsets and, better competition with, the lesser ranked teams. I mean, it's going to be just an exciting era of college football, and I'm freaking stoked for it.
Well, and the other side of it too is you're going to have the economic factor and all of that, which is it's a cheaper school to go to, right? So, so now if you're from Virginia, Virginia Tech, West Virginia, Marshall could be up and coming again. Remember that old rivalry, right? Between those two schools. Places like Syracuse, you're from New York. Well, you got to go south if you want to have an opportunity. Well, now you can stay in New York. So it's definitely cool to see that you're going to have all these people going, hey, look, if you come here and you play like that, because the way they changed the transfer portal thing, you play like that, you stand out, you make a name for yourself, they're going to come to you. You can make money here, and you're going to pay a fraction of what you would pay going to that school sitting on the bench. And here you could be a star. And I think every position you're going to see that. Everybody's going to be like, okay, where can I go? And most people, you know what's going to happen? They're going to go home.
Yep.
Chances are they're going to go home. So in Texas is going to have the best recruits. A&M's probably going to spark something in the next couple, 3 years. Tech, Baylor, Rice, Houston, I mean, you name them, they're going to be there. And you know who else is up and coming is UNLV. UNLV is now playing in a professional stadium. They're going to start getting some of those recruits too because of the lure. Oh yeah, because
they
of the
play
lure.
At the Raider Stadium.
Yeah, they play at Allegiant. So
that's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're not allowed to play at their stadium anymore because of the non-compete when they agreed to play at Allegiant. So now that you're playing in a professional stadium, which by the way happens to be a city that is sort of known for entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
It's the mecca of the world for entertainment. The allure of that and the marketing capability of that, playing in like, hey, look, you're playing here on Saturdays. If you do good, you can play here on Sundays. Like that's huge. So I think they're going to be. I think they're going to have a pretty good team here in the next 3 or 4 years.
That'll be freaking awesome. How they do this year? I don't recall seeing any other games.
First winning record in I think not school history, but it's been north of a decade.
Really?
Yeah. They actually had a really good season this year. I don't think they won a conference title or anything, but they turned it around, which is why they hired this coach. This coach was like, hey, we need to get into a better spot. Well, what better place than to play in an 80,000 seat stadium on Saturdays?
Yeah.
Hey, come play for us because here's your locker room.
Exactly.
if you do really well, this will stay your locker room because you probably get drafted. So I think it's really cool. And watch. I think a lot more teams are going to explore that because most people don't know this, but like on college campuses, they can't sell alcohol in most states, and I think the NCAA doesn't allow it. But if you go like UTSA, they play at the Alamo Dome, they can sell alcohol. So watch as these teams start to get into those stadiums and the revenue starts coming in for some of this stuff. Dude, you're going to see these teams, either the rules are going to change or some of these teams are going to go, our stadium looks like crap. What's the professional team up the road? And then that's where they're going to go.
Yep.
So
Longhorns sell alcohol at their games, but they're I think freaking $8 a beer, some shit like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I think it's one beer is the equivalent price wise of a 12-pack.
Yeah,
it's insane. That's why everybody's out there getting hammered out in San Jacinto versus inside the stadium. You ever been to a tailgate, University of Texas?
I've been through them. I've never actually spent a whole day, but I want to.
Just go through it. Just walk through it. You don't even really need to drink because everybody else is drinking enough for you.
Yeah.
If you ever go down, 18th and San Jacinto, I think is what it is, a big parking garage there. And
that's where I think that's where I park when I go, and then I'll walk across to the backside of the stadium where all the tailgaters are. I always have to check out the HEB tailgate because they go ham. So
yeah, they really do. 18th and San Jacinto, man, they I think every alcohol brand is there.
Mm-hmm.
And they make a lot of sales. That's one place you want to be. To get hammered. Get hammered. And it's funny too because you're watching everybody stumble their way into the stadium. It's like, dude, you're gonna be here for like another 3 hours. Like what?
Yeah.
What are you doing? They don't have enough bread in the stadium to soak up what you just had.
Right.
But it's a really cool spot. And then it's funny too because then just around the corner from that, like if you're kind of going, I think it's west of the stadium. So if you kind of go just around the corner, you'll see the opposing team's tailgate takes up like half a block.
Yeah.
Like
and then you see
there.
like 8 city blocks.
Yeah, you see all of downtown surrounding the stadium. The highways jam packed because everybody's like throwing each other beers. It's an interesting tailgate, that's for sure. You don't go down there and expect to go home on time.
Right. Yeah. The first time I ever went to a game there at the stadium, it was, I don't remember what game it was. I want to say it was an Iowa State game. This was years ago, and everything was so damn packed that I ended up having to park at the Denny's across the highway and walk across just to even freaking get to the game. It was ridiculous. Yeah.
That's funny you mentioned Ohio State. That's actually the first game I ever went to at DKR. This was during Charlie Strong, his tenure. And what's funny is I actually used to service his pool. So that was really cool. Really nice house.
Awesome.
yeah, that's what you get when you're a football coach. But yeah, it was like 46-42 or something like that. That was the first time I realized that Iowa State was not to be messed with. Like those Cyclones are crazy. But that was really cool.
When I went, it was either the Mac Brown era or it may have been the Tom Herman era. I want to say it was Mac Brown for some reason. For that, the Iowa State game was. I went a while back, and I went a few years after that, and then I think I went the next year after that.
Well, Mac Brown was there when we were in high school, so you'd had to have been in high school for it to be the Mac Brown era.
Okay.
Yeah, because Charlie Strong came in like 2012.
Actually, no, I remember the Iowa State game that I went to was when David Ash was there. So yeah, that would
have been Charlie Strong. Yeah, dude. Shoot, we probably went to the same game because because Iowa State only came in once during his tenure.
Yeah.
So we were probably at the same game.
Yep.
That's interesting.
It was a good time. But yeah, I think that was the game that I had to park across the highway at the freaking Denny's.
That one.
Yeah, the shiny Denny's. Yeah, the one over by the baseball field.
Yeah, the one that you need to walk out of your truck with a knife and a gun.
Yeah, that one. Yeah,
that one. Yeah, that's the east side of the highway. Yeah, we don't go over there, especially if you look like us. You don't go over there unless you have to.
Right.
I think I went to that one.
Hey, I used to live off 38 and a half on the east side of the highway behind that Fiesta, man. Over there, I used to live off Cesar Chavez. I used to live on the east side over there.
Right there by airport, 51st and airport. Yeah, that's a dangerous place, dude.
It is. I can't remember 1 month without them finding a dead body somewhere in the apartment complex I lived in.
They found a few of them behind the Fiesta too. Yep. It wasn't such a Fiesta.
Yeah.
Man, that was that place. You ought to see that place now. They've gone in. Investors have gone in, tore the place out, and they just buy up these old dilapidated houses, tear them out, build something new. And I'm like, dude, the contractor had to lose at least $15,000 to $20,000 in tools. He did, because somebody was hijacking everything out of that building.
Dude, some of those places over there are nuts. So when I went back to Texas last month, I think it was, I was driving through, and where it splits to upper and lower, I took the upper deck, so I was like, I don't want to look at the stadium. And so I'm driving, and then I started getting the Hershey squirts. I started getting the bubbles in the guts, and I was like, oh, hell, this is not going to be good.
That is the wrong place to have it, dude.
Yeah. And so I was like, just let me make it past Riverside. Let me make it past Riverside. Like, there's plenty past there. And it wasn't happening because traffic was not going well. So right there by Frank Irwin Center, I had to take the exit and ended up going right there. You know where the police station's at?
Yeah.
And so I had to cut across, and there's a Shell station. There's another gas station on the right side, which is on the west side of the highway, but the exit is just past one of them, and I couldn't make it right there by like the Holiday Inn and stuff, and I couldn't make it across. And so I went down one more light and had to go under the highway, and there's a Shell station on the left side, and there used to be an old Mexican restaurant up on the hill over there, and now it's a high rise. And I pulled in backwards. Like I had to go so bad. I was already getting the freaking shivers, little goosebumps. And I run in, and I just see this big sign on the door that says bathroom out of order. And I was like, oh. And there was this young girl at the counter. I looked at her. I said, is it really out of order? She says, no, go ahead. And so I ran in there, dude. I barely freaking made it. And I felt bad for her because I know I stunk up that whole store. Dude, it was bad.
It probably smelled better than the way that place usually smells. That reminds me of that scene from Friday. That old man, he's sitting in traffic. I got to go.
Dude, it's. I think that was right after I started doing my apple cider vinegar crap that I started doing, because my acid reflux started getting real bad, and my medication quit working. So I started doing that. Now it's great. Like, I haven't had heartburn in I don't know how long, but dude, it was messing with my gut so bad when I started it.
I learned the hard way: start your diet on a Friday night.
Right.
Don't schedule a fucking thing Saturday and Sunday. Like when I do I'll do a fast every now and again, like a 24 or 48 hour fast, which is hard for me to do because I know I look good on the camera right now, but I'm 5'10" and 3/4 and about 250 pounds. Okay. So I need to fast so my body can be like, okay, we can absorb some of this. We can take some of that fat. We can take, when I do those, dude, I'm miserable. Like and all you get is water with a little bit of lemon or something like that.
I couldn't do it.
But like I'll do it for 24 hours, and then by the time we get to the next day, I'm like, oh, breakfast tacos sounds so good. And then my son's over here like, Dad, can I make crepes? I'm like, son of a bitch. Sure. Yes, son.
Dude, breakfast tacos. We don't even have breakfast tacos here in Arkansas. So.
We don't have them here too, dude. This okay.
Sucks.
Nevada sucks. We don't have breakfast tacos. We ain't got no sweet tea. Okay, which is bullshit. Nobody out here has sweet tea. The only sweet tea I've ever found is in my own kitchen. We don't have you know what tacos are to us?
Yeah.
They call them burritos. I'm like, what are you all on a freaking diet?
Right.
A bunch of garden gnomes running around here on diets eating burritos.
Order burrito. I want something that's almost 2 feet long and covered in cheese.
Yeah, like they're calling tacos street tacos. I'm like, street taco. I'm like, bro, that's an appetizer. Like, what? What? Like, no, dude. I'll show you what a taco is.
Right.
Like, you know. So I'm. It sucks. Like I'm. Like there's no Whataburger. There's no Rudy's barbecue.
Get those here, so I'm excited about that.
There's no. The closest one to me is Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah.
There's no Taco Cabanas, and I love Taco Cabana. I don't care what anyone says. I love Taco Cabana. No HEB. They got all the good food.
Dude, I freaking love HEB so much.
Mighty Finds, no Mighty Finds. They have none of those, which is just heartbreaking because I love that place.
Yeah.
No Buc-ee's, you know, gas station on steroids. Yeah, like it's like. By the way, while you're in here, there's a whole wall of sugar. You should buy something from it.
Yeah.
And then there's an entire wall of sugar.
We got a whole wall of beef jerky.
Yeah, like literally a whole 400 square foot, you know, just section, and and then it's like in the back corner of the store they have all this like hunting equipment, like fucking knives and crossbows
Yetis,
and stuff.
clothes,
they got Yetis,
freaking everything,
blankets. Like they got it. Like you walk into Buc-ee's, right? You're $100 worth of gas. You go in and get a Dr. Pepper. You get you a bag of chips, and then on the way out, you're grabbing yourself a fucking Yeti, a grill, and probably a statue of a beaver you didn't know you needed, and then firewood because you're gonna have to fire that grill up, right? You gotta do that, and all of that.
You need a rack for that firewood too, and they have those.
Yeah, you need and all of that somehow fits into a Toyota Camry for some travelers just passing through. Like it's crazy. Like Buc-ee's is a dangerous place, you know, but they don't have an academy out here. Academies are friggin' awesome. Like they have all the hunting gear in the world that you could ever ask for at a reasonable price. They got a Bass Pro Shop, and that's awesome. I make good money. I still can't afford anything out of Bass Pro Shop. Like I go there just to window shop, you know. And I'm like, oh, that looks cool. I'll find that online.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like I can't, you know. So like Academy is a great place to go. What else do they not have that is awesome in Texas? Texas. They don't have anything that Texas has, right? Yeah. So it's and it's all desert out here. Like somebody, well, we all know who created the oasis in the desert. It was the mob. Somebody said, let's go see that hole in the desert right over there, put a casino there. And they did, and now it is what it is, right? But like where I live, there's no point to being here anymore. It's like it's hot and it's really cold and the people just are absolutely miserable out here. It's like a retirement town.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, okay, time to get back to some civilization. Like I want to be like, I love San Marcos because it was like 15 minutes from Canyon Lake. You had New Braunfels, you had Schlitterbahn right around the corner. Yep. You had Austin 30 minutes, San Antonio 30 minutes, you had Six Flags, SeaWorld, the zoo, you had all kinds of stuff, dude. The outlet mall, like where I live, which wasn't far from where you live. I was on the south side, you were on the north side.
Yep.
The outlet mall's right there. Texas State's right there. So you know, if you're
San
single,
Marcos River, it's a freaking
if you're,
they got Bikini Hill if you're single. If you're not single, they got crystal clear water. It comes out of the freaking aquifer. You know, and then you drive out to the hill country. You're right on the edge of the hill country. Go out there to Wimberley, Dripping Springs.
If you're not single, you don't belong there.
Touche.
There is no good reason, because if you are there, you're gonna be single by the time that day's over.
Not if you get off campus. If you get off campus, it's actually some damn good brim and bass fishing.
There really is. Yep. It's called the Guadalupe River. And just keep floating because you're gonna have to run from her by the time you're done.
As long as you stay south of Bikini Hill and north of Rio Vista, that perfect little stretch there of the San Marcos River that doesn't have tubers, kayakers, or women, you're good, man. You know, especially fishing right under the bridge, the footbridge that goes across right there by the Lions Club. There's Texas wild rice there, and there's some damn good bass fishing.
there is, and it's a perfect symbolism that if you think about going north or south, You're gonna be thrown off of that bridge by her. She's gonna come find you, and you're done. You're finished. Yeah. No, I've gotten myself into plenty of trouble going over there. Who are you looking at? I was looking at the
It's like I'm
building, the
blind, babe. What are you talking
architecture.
about?
Yeah, the architecture's great. Look at the sunset. It's 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm like, well, I'm just preparing for it. Just imagining what it would be like over here.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's and it's actually, you know what, to kind of get into the camping stuff and the hiking. So San Marcos got a lot of trails out there, dude. Like they got a lot of places that you can go. You kind of have to get back into the Wonder World Park area or Wonder World Drive.
What's that? What's that creek back there? Something Creek.
Oh Jesus! I knew you'd ask me that. I actually lived right by that creek. It's Plum. Is it Plum Creek? No,
Plum Creek's in Kyle.
There's
there's the bridge. There's the bridge right over. Like you're going out to frickin' Wimberley. I don't remember.
Oh,
it's something Creek, not Panther Creek.
No,
can't remember what it is.
I can't. Yeah,
that's a damn good hike out there.
Yeah, that out there is. Kyle actually has quite a few. I mean, you have to kind of get back into the sticks a little bit, but yeah, we're all San Marcos and Kyle kind of come together.
Mm-hmm.
There's some pretty good spots back in there. Kind of like when you go back to where, and not to name drop too much, but so George Strait used to live. He used to have a little small ranchette kind of thing down in San Marcos.
Mm-hmm.
Back when his I think it was his daughter was going to Texas State before his daughter died. There's like a 2-lane bridge. I mean, if you go right or left one or the other, you're off the bridge. But there's this like 2-lane bridge, and that same river, same creek. I think sometimes it's a river, depends on how much rain we get. But it's beautiful, crystal clear. There's trails back in there. There's some good fishing spots, and there's a few spots where the fishing holes get deep. They get real deep. There's all kinds of little what do you call it? Like bluegill. There's some stuff back in there.
Mm-hmm.
There's real small fish.
Yeah.
But yeah, Guadalupe. I tell you what though, if you want to do some real good fishing, if you're ever in Texas, man, Guadalupe River is great, and Canyon Lake is great. That's what bothers me about Canyon Lake being so low, is because there's always really good fishing out of Canyon Lakes. Man, I think a couple of those fish, like if you go visit the Cabela's in Buda, some of the fish that are in those tanks, though, I think those came out of Canyon Lake. A few of the big blue ones.
Some of them came out of Calaveras. Some of them came out of Dunlop. I think it's Dunlap.
A couple of the big blue cats.
Mm-hmm.
They came out of Lake Travis.
Really?
Yeah, there were a few of them came out of Lake Travis.
I used to get on Lake Travis all the time down to Pace Bend Park. I freaking love it out there. There's actually some real good hikes out there around Lake Travis too.
Yeah,
some good camping, some really good hiking. I love camping
really
out
good
there.
Camp spots.
Yeah,
really good camp spots.
Sandy beach, old lake bottom, because the lake is so low. You can camp or go down and play on the sand. It's just like going to a beach at the coast, just real sandy bottom. It's freaking awesome.
You have Valente beaches out there,
dude. I've never been to Valente Beach.
Never? Oh man! So rumor had it they were supposed to build a Schlitterbahn out there.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, they were supposed to. I don't think it ever came to fruition because everybody's so worried about the lake. And then, of course, Memorial Day floods in 2015, the lake suddenly was full. And that they still killed the idea. But yeah, Valente Beach was a really cool place. I've been out there a few times. It's kind of on the east side of the lake, so you kind of have to go around, almost like you're going to Lago Vista.
Yeah.
But that's a really cool place. You know what place is actually fun? So this is where we were talking earlier. We were talking before the show. Joel Murillo and Francisco Lujan.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Do you remember we were going to school? Okay. We were in high school. I was such a model kid. Okay. I was a great student. Straight A's minus the A's. Okay. I was in this program called Communities in Schools.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that? Okay.
Yeah.
Within the confines of that was XY Zone. Okay, XY Zone. Our mentor was Octavius Bishop, the big, tall, burly black dude that was you'd see me around with. He played the University of Texas. He started ahead of Leonard Davis. Okay, little backstory on that. He was at University of Texas, played in Chicago for the Bears, played XFL, all kinds of stuff. Right, so really cool guy. Cullen Henderson, remember Big Cullen? Big C, big dude. Yeah, one of my best friends. We haven't talked in some time, and honestly, we can pick up like we never left off. So XY Zone is where I met those guys, right? This is where I started to actually become friends with, because they were not a part of the crowd that I was in.
Yeah.
I wasn't a part of anybody's fucking crowd. Let's just put it like that.
Hey, you're a part of the misfits in baseball.
I was a part of the misfits, like on a secondary misfit island, dude. Like it was bad. Like Chad Miles, remember Chad? Chad Miles,
Yeah.
When we went to baseball tournaments, because I went to a few varsity tournaments even when my freshman year, which is kind of unusual to have a freshman on varsity.
Well, we didn't have
for
JV
anything.
Or no, we didn't have a freshman.
No, we
team.
did.
We had JV and varsity.
Did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had JV and varsity. I was mostly on the JV team, but they took me to one of the varsity things. But anyway, we were sitting in a restaurant eating, and I'm sitting by myself because I'm not friends with any of these guys. And Chad's like, dude, will you get over here? Like, you're bigger than everyone else on this team but me. Like, just get here. It was like him and Jacob Sendejo were the only two guys that were taller than me and bigger and huskier. Right. So anyway, Francisco and Joel, a few other guys, I can't remember some of their names. Cullen, I think we were all misfits. Like, it was a cool program for kids that were struggling, struggling in school, struggling at home, whatever it is. Right.
Yeah.
So CIS during the summer had a camping trip at Garner State Park. Okay. It's in Utopia, Texas.
Yeah.
Utopia, Texas, to describe it in just a short sentence, no internet connection. All right. None.
Even to this day, there's still no.
To this day,
no cellular, nothing.
Nothing. Like, you are using an atlas. Okay. And for those of you who were born yesterday, that are listening to this, an atlas is a book that is essentially your GPS. Okay. Like, I'm 31 at the end of this month, and I'm still that old that I was using an atlas. And at one point in time, I was using an atlas when I was working for my dad, because he wouldn't let us have electronics in the truck. I was always afraid of getting sued. So we were using the atlas. So you're sitting here thumbing through pages going, okay, I'm on this street trying to figure this out, right? So that's how you get around Utopia, or you're from Utopia. So anyway, we go, and I don't know why, I don't know how, I don't even care. Somehow, I ended up with a tent all to myself. Francisco, I think Joel was on that trip. I'm pretty sure he was, and then somebody else was on that trip, and I was supposed to share a tent with one of those other three. For some reason, I got the tent all to myself. I'm like, cool, I'm the only white kid there. Y'all don't want to hang out with me? Like, I'm the one guy you probably want, because I'm not afraid of animals. Like, I'm good. Like, somebody gets in, they're not making it out.
Yeah.
So anyway, I ended up with this tent all to myself. We get up in the morning, and I kid you not, dude. Okay, so we go on this hike, and we're walking along this trail, and you could tell there was like this wall, right where our trail ended. There was this wall, and there was a rock that sort of used to be a part of it, but it fell off, and then it kind of continued the trail. You had to hop off a couple of things. True story. All right, you want to talk about not being able to make it to the bathroom? So everyone's behind me, right? Because push the dumb kid first, right? So I go first. So I hop over onto this rock. All of a sudden, I turn and look. There's a fucking bobcat haul-assing directly behind me. I made eye contact with the little bastard. The only reason that I think he decided not to get the white meat that day is because I emitted a noxious fume that was not good for the environment. And this son of a bitch took off. Now, after 5 seconds of pondering what the hell just happened, which felt like 5 minutes, I'm thinking there wasn't anything in front of him. So what's behind this guy?
Right.
So after I gathered myself and gathered my guts, because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to, make it back across that rock, dude, I'm telling you, that was the scariest thing. We hopped back over. Every rustle in the grass, just I'm like, oh my god, okay, go! Like, I'm hauling ass, dude. Like, we get back to the campfire. I'm pale white, like whiter than I am now. I'm pale white, almost like the shirt. And they're like, what happened? What happened? What happened? I'm like, scary cat, scary cat. Fucking bobcat. And he was the size of most Labradors. Like, he was
a good sized bobcat.
He was a good. Fluffy wasn't fucking around. He was hungry and he was hauling. And I'm not sure what was chasing him. I didn't want to stick around to find out. Right. I don't know what he was chasing, because I must have missed it. But I know one thing: he was looking at me. And then after he scared the shit out of me, he took off. I was like, I don't even want to know. I'm just gonna go take a shower.
Right.
It was bad. It was bad, bro. That was the scariest thing. But I think we pissed off a few people over at Garner State Park because they have this little fishing hole. It's like a swimming hole actually.
Mm-hmm.
So it's part of this creek. It's part of this creek that probably about that deep, and then there's a big hole that's probably 30 feet deep, crystal clear, beautiful. And we sort of built a dam out of rocks that diverted all this water. Joel would remember that. Joel would remember that. There's another, oh my God, there's another guy, I can't remember his name, and he was such a cool guy. Real short, kind of stocky build.
Short, stocky, went to Lehman.
Yeah.
Hispanic?
Yeah, but that'll narrow it down, dude. Like that's pretty much half of Lehman High School. But I can see his face. I know exactly. I would recognize him.
Ernest?
Ernest, yes, Ernest Aguilar. There you go. Look at that. Yeah.
I was thinking. I was like,
Ernest. Yeah, he was a part of CIS and XY Zone. Yeah, he was a really cool guy. Talk about a guy that was not a part of my crowd. We just had two different backgrounds, two different everything. But he was there, and I think we were building. Yeah, we were the ones building the dam. Because somebody had the bright idea, like, what if we just diverted this water? And all of a sudden, like, this camping trip that's supposed to be team building and relaxation turned it into let's lift 20-pound fucking boulders and redirect traffic. It was, but that was a really cool place to go camping, though. If you ever get a chance to go camping there.
I've never been camping there. I think me and Jose had talked about possibly going there. We were looking at Garner, and then another one we were looking at was Lost Maples. And that turned into, everything looked great up until we got closer to the trip, and then it was supposed to be like in the 20s, raining and snowing. You couldn't chop down your own firewood. We were going to go completely primitive. The closest place to camp was 3 miles from the vehicle, and I was like, we're not going to do that one. So
no.
We ended up not doing that. But
for beginners, one place that I really like to go camping, I keep coming back to Canyon Lake. That's probably a place, like if I died tomorrow, spread my ashes out there, right? Like that's one of my favorite places. They do have a camping spot over there. They sort of have a pool kind of thing buoyed off, so jet skis and stuff can't come in. It's probably dry by now, but that's a really good place to go camping because you've got all the amenities, got your spot, your table, all 9 yards. You can take your RV if you want to go glamping.
Right.
That's a really cool place to go to. My favorite place to go camping actually, favorite place to go camping. The friggin' beach, bro. I don't know what it is about the beach.
Camping at the beach.
I like it because I love the ocean, right? I'm a pina colada guy. I love a beautiful woman on my lap, a pina colada in my hand, and I'm watching the ocean take everything away from me. Like my dad loved going to Rockport. Rockport's a beautiful place to go.
Yep.
Not so much as since Harvey kind of leveled the place.
I don't know, man. It's come back quite a bit. I was there a couple weeks ago, and it's making a little good different resurgence. It's different, but it's making a resurgence for sure.
The Big Fisherman. I hate that they closed down the Big Fisherman. They used to have a restaurant there called the Big Fisherman, and that was our go-to spot. Anytime we were down in Rockport, that was our go-to spot. It was
what's that home cooking restaurant just past? So you come across from Tivoli, cross Fulton into Rockport, and then the HEB's on your right. The marina's on the left. You keep going, and where it splits, where 35 splits, and you go 35 business, or you can continue straight like you're going to continue down to the marina. Right after that curve on the split, there was a little restaurant there. I can't remember the name of it. It was like a home cooking restaurant. It had green walls inside. Dude, that place was freaking amazing. I can't remember the name of it, but it was so freaking good. We go there every time for breakfast.
You know what place I really like? So my favorite spot. So my dad's was Rockport. I love going to Port Aransas.
Yeah, I like Port A.
And even after the Hurricane Harvey, Port A came back, and I totally believe Rockport has come back. I know it's different. I know it's a little bit different.
They actually have internet there now. So like once Harvey came through, it tore everything out. They ran fiber to the home everywhere in there. So it's starting to blow up for that.
Yeah, I believe it. And you know what's funny is one of the only houses that was still standing. I believe this is somebody can fact check this, but so most people don't realize this, but George Strait actually has a house down there. Okay?
Yeah, over there in that gated community on the left.
Key Allegro.
Yep.
He's got a place in Key Allegro. He's got a big boat that says big money and a bunch of small boats that say pocket change, like poor guy, right?
Yeah.
I think his son, as it kind of goes, as I've been told by people in the community, his son usually is the one using it. But that house was so well built his house was one of the only ones still standing after that hurricane came through.
Ours was still standing over there, but we're on Copano Bay, so we're over there in Holiday Beach, and there's a few more houses over there that stood. Hell, even the shed that I built, we built this 140 square foot shed, and it was still standing. We had a lot of siding and roofing damage, and we lost most of the trees on our property, but
some 2x4s and some 16 penny nails, baby. It's not going nowhere. But yeah, Port Aransas was always cool. I love going to their pizzeria down there, the Port A Pizzeria. It's nothing fancy. It kind of reminds you of like a Mr. Gaddy's. Remember that?
Yeah.
Mr. Gaddy's was the
Dude,
shit.
Mr. Gaddy's was the shit.
Yeah, Dave and Buster's, the hell with them.
Right.
I mean, they got some cool.
Gaddy Town was where it was at. If you're going to games and stuff, Gaddy Town right there in South Austin. Jeez.
But it kind of reminds you of the same type of pizza and all that stuff. But it was just like something about the water, the way it mixed with the dough and all that stuff. It's all salt water, right? So, but just the way everything is made, I love going there. There's a place called Cody's down there. There's burgers and seafood. Kind of like, it looks like an old rundown house, and when you walk inside, it looks like an old rundown house. But the best food, best restaurant out there. I mean, I love it. I mean, if you like seafood, there's other places to go. But yeah, Port Aransas was always my favorite spot. I loved going down there during Christmas because nobody was there.
Right.
Yeah.
We
used to go down there. There were a couple of times we went down there. We weren't camping, but we were out there on the beach really late. And we were out near Bob Paul Pier. And my buddy Zach, this kid, the only way this kid ever got out of, and not Zach Thomas, not the neighbor I had in high school. This is another Zach in San Antonio. We were out there with his family, and it was me, my dad, stepmom, all that, our family. We were all there, right? So we're down at Bob Paul Pier. Zach's getting his ass handed to him by his parents because he was that kid always getting in trouble. His little brothers always got him in trouble. And he goes, it was funny, about the time we left, he goes and puts something down in the sand. No sooner than he puts something down in the sand, a transformer above a propane tank exploded. This dude, when I tell you, this kid thought he did it, because that's how they raised him. Everything was his fault.
Yeah.
He put that, it was like some tool or something he put down. No sooner, boom, and he thought he did it. Like, he thought he was in trouble, dude. And it was like really late at night, ocean's coming in, no lights, and all of a sudden the place is lit up, and we're covering our ears, starting our ears, hurting. Dude, that was funny. That was probably the last time we ever stayed at night, because it seemed like some problems.
Right.
Yeah.
Dude, the last time I stayed at night on the beach was in Port Mansfield. So so when you go into and you hit Port Aransas right after the Stripes, so then you pass the Stripes, you turn right, and you take that as far as you can until you get like before Port Mansfield, because the last beach access road, because the only way to get to Port Mansfield easily is through the water. So there's the channel that goes from Port Mansfield out.
Right.
So you have to actually hit a beach access road, and then it's another I swear 3 hours driving on unpacked sand to get to where you can get to the channel up there on the beach. There's no other beach access roads. And I went with my buddy, and he had a TRD Pro. And he had a bunch of other guys out there, and I think it was for 5-6 of us out there, and we stayed out there for 4 days, if I'm not mistaken. And I had a damn good time. And we caught a bunch of fish, and we're out there just drinking beer, eating fish, hanging out. Some illegals ran through our campsite, so that was pretty exciting. We met a little. I think it was what do they call them? It's a kangaroo rat, but it's a specific species of kangaroo rat that only lives on the island. And it was out there, and it was eating all the sunflower seeds, because the first night that we were there, we'd opened up a big bag of sunflower seeds. They were sitting on the tailgate of the truck, and they fell out. And so a bunch of seeds fell on the ground, and we just covered up with sand and, continued on with our day. And he kept coming out. And so I named him Carlos, and he would come up and he would actually take freaking sunflowers from my hand, dude. Like, it was this wild kangaroo rat living in the sand dunes just coming up and eating sunflowers from us. And he hung out with us all 4 days, just this little freaking kangaroo rat. So we had him there.
Carlos.
Andale. Right. One morning I woke up in my tent, and this is the reason why I don't like camping on the beach. So we had a strong storm like it went through right before we got there. And so we're like, sweet, the storm's out of the way. It's going to be gorgeous. Well, it was like our second, maybe our third day there. And I woke up to being sandblasted. Like the wind was blowing so hard inland that, I mean, I literally felt like I was being sandblasted. I was asleep and I just feel sharp pains over my entire body. And I wake up and there's just freaking huge sandstorm blowing in right off the beach because we're on the front side of the dunes, and I just don't like sand everywhere. It gets annoying after, you're going down and playing in the water. Yeah, it's great, but then you have to deal with it for 3-4 days. You're getting sunburnt, you're getting windburnt, and now you have sand in all your crevices. I hate camping at the beach for that reason. Chafing like no other.
Yeah, you definitely want to, it's worth it to pay for a hotel room so you can at least go back and change.
Right.
Yeah, you got to have a love for the salt water, that's for sure. But yeah, to me, camping on the beach is always fun. Just because obviously you have to go at a decent time, decent time of the year. But just being out there, the birds, pissing off the people next to you because you throw bread on top of their tent. That's always fun.
Go nuts.
Yeah. As soon as you open the bread, mine. Oh God. You stupid bird. Like if it would be nice if when you go dove hunting, if the birds could just flock like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I could have more fun. Just boom, there's 10 of them done. Yeah. But no, they don't. The doves are just like sitting on the fence going, you ain't gonna hit me anyway, kind of thing. Like, you're a terrible shot. But yeah, like as soon as if they hear a Lunchable open, they're coming in. It's the goofiest thing in the world.
Bag of chips, a Lunchable.
Oh,
they just want it all.
Yeah, or you're the one thing that I used to do. I used to get a kick out of this stuff because anytime I'd go down to the beach, depending on what kind of mood my ex-wife or wife at the time was in, I'd put the breadcrumbs on top of her hat.
They start swarming her.
Why are they following me? I don't know. So we should run that way. Try to get some peace and quiet for 5 seconds. But yeah, that was. I would do that, or I'd put them in the back of her jacket. She always wore a hoodie. I don't know why Rhonda always wore a hoodie, so I just stuff them in the back of her jacket. They follow her around. I was waiting for
that's freaking hilarious.
But
see, I love spending time at the beach. I just don't like camping, man. If I'm gonna be camping, I want to be camping in the woods. I want to be camping in the mountains. I want to have to hike to where I'm gonna be camping to. It's just my style of camping.
I'm not a big fan. I love the sticks. I love getting flatlands. Like it seems to me like there's a lot more animals there that are manageable. So I think it's a lot more fun. Like you got your turkeys, you got your coyotes, you got you're gonna have some hogs here and there, which those are fun. Fun to hunt. Deer. You got a lot of stuff that you can manage, right? Like things that you're not too afraid of. You start getting into the mountains, bro. Like out here, I live 200 yards from a river. The Virgin River runs right by my house, and there's a cougar lives back in there. The mountains are another 10 miles from here. Yeah. And so when you start getting into the mountains, dude, you got bears, you got mountain lions, you got bobcats.
That makes it exciting, though.
Not for me. They're looking at me like, fat guy look good, and I'm like, oh,
see, we have mountain lions here in Arkansas. There's been a few confirmed sightings. There's not an established population of them here, but I can foresee that happening. So far from all the ones that I've heard have been actually confirmed sightings or pictures have been males. And so typically the young males will be the ones, year 2, maybe 3 years old will be the ones that would go out and they basically scout and see if there's actually an area that they can thrive in. And so I think there's a population, if I'm not mistaken, South Dakota would be one of the closest geographically established populations of mountain lions, but there is a path. Maybe it was Kansas, but there is a path directly from that established population that goes right into the Ozarks. And it's pretty much, it's mainly down river drainage and stuff like that to where they won't cross through any cities or anything like that. And it's pretty much a highway for them to come down into the Ozarks, and the Ozarks are a perfect area for them to start a population. So the fact there's been so many confirmed sightings, I have a feeling there's a lot more out there than we know that there are. But I don't think it'll be long before they actually start, breeding and some females come down and start establishing a population, which to me is exciting. But, Yeah, I mean, hell, but they got mountain lions at Lake Travis. My brother was out there. Actually, we're talking about Paceman Park earlier. Yeah, his horse got attacked by a mountain lion when they're out there camping at Paceman Park.
Yeah, no, they do. You know what scares me about camping out at the lakes, though? What I don't like, okay, and this is kind of a personal story. You know, when I was kayaking, right? I was doing some kayak fishing. And you got to be careful.
Yeah.
When you go up near the shorelines and you get underneath the trees and all that kind of stuff, because I'm kayaking, right? I'm fishing. Had headphones in. A boat could have been coming behind me. I was jamming out to Creed or something. I can't remember exactly what I was. I'm jamming out to somebody, you know, and a boat could have come by and buzzed me, and I'd never known it. So I get underneath this tree line, and I don't know why I just had this feeling, you know.
Yeah.
And I look up. Holy shit! Moccasins wrapped around every fucking branch, dude. Just water moccasins, and one of them started dropping in the water. I was done, dude. Let me listen. Okay, I wasn't as big as I am now at that time, but if that kayak didn't have a motor, I gave it one. Because I was getting the hell out of that situation as fast as possible. You see a poisonous, you know, Satan spaghetti dropping in the water, you know, nope rope, whatever you want to call them, like them things. No, you don't want to mess with them because they're aggressive. They'll kill you.
Yeah.
And I mean, just looking at them, and they float. That's just bad. They float and they're fast.
Yeah.
Dude, I just
rattlesnakes get in the water too, though. Dude, have you seen that freaking article that dude wrote where he's on his kayak? I want to say he was at Lake Austin, or maybe he was in Central Texas, and he was kayaking, and a rattlesnake was coming out towards his kayak, and he was like, "Oh shit!" So he hit it with his paddle, knocked it unconscious, threw it on a hook, and went and caught a double-digit bass on the rattlesnake.
More power.
Like, that's freaking awesome.
Yeah, I would have been the guy with the 22 and would have popped him right there. Like, nope,
right.
You ain't coming anywhere near me, Bubba. Satan serpent over there. That ain't gonna happen. There's a reason he's not liked in the Bible. Okay. Yeah. It's like crocodiles, dude. Crocodiles just scare me. I was in a swamp one day. Okay. I was in a swamp, and I don't know what I was doing. I was with some friends, and I'm kind of just, swamp's not that deep, right? So I go in, find a crawfish trap, pull that up. I'm like, bro, there's crawfish in here. 10 feet from me, pops up his head. And I'm like, oh shit. And I throw the crawfish trap, which my friend of mine was like, don't do that. Too bad. I looked like Jesus walking on water when I was getting out of that freaking pond, dude. I was haul assing, bro. I mean, it's just a dinosaur, dude. Like, who?
See, I've always wanted to catch one. I've always wanted to like have one in my hands and wrestle one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll pet it. Someone else can hold it. But seriously, like, okay, dinosaurs, with the exception of that bastard, don't exist anymore. Volcanoes, earthquakes, ice ages, and that son of a bitch still exists. So if God couldn't kill it, what do you think it's going to do to me? Like, what am I going to do? You know, like that animal survive. Like, that dude has built-in solar panels. If you don't know, like the scales on the back of their body, they got these little triangles like this. They actually act like solar panels. That's how they get heat, store energy, and all that stuff. This dude is economically friendly in every way. Like, we should strive to be like alligators if we really want to help the environment, right? Like, they are the most eco-friendly animal, and they're vicious, and they'll eat you, and they don't even care how you taste. Yeah, bro. Like, alligators just get me. I've always wanted to go hunting for one. Yeah. Yeah, I'd have to go with somebody extremely experienced for that, because that's a whole nother animal. Every time I think of like wrestling with an alligator, I always think of either that scene in Happy Gilmore. Remember that, where he like rolls him over and he boom, just drops him, like just elbows him straight up, or like
Jumps.
Yeah, or like Joe Dirt. sticks his friggin' head, he's got me. He's like flying around everywhere. Yeah, like that's, to me, that's what I'm thinking about. And I'm saying, like, it don't look like the movie. I mean, that's animatronic, and they lived. I won't. Yeah, so alligators just get me, but like snakes, all that. And most people don't know this, but like, especially in the South, right? So in Texas, more specifically South Texas. Have you ever been to Choke Canyon Reservoir?
No.
Okay, so if you go down 16, Highway 16 south of San Antonio, go down into Tilden, Choke Canyon Reservoir is kind of in that area, right?
Yeah.
Where the old Broken Skull Ranch used to be. There's a peninsula out there, kind of in the middle of the lake, and we went out there. I was hunting with somebody. I think it was an old boss at the time. We were out there bird hunting on one of the properties out there. And there's got to be 40, 45 head of gator just sitting right not far from the Frio River. Yeah. The Frio actually has gators.
Yeah.
Didn't know that until then.
Dude,
I always thought they were in the swamps.
13-footer in Goliad one year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, what was it they found in Port Aransas? I think they found it was either an alligator or a croc.
Well, Rockport has some alligators that live out behind Holiday Beach. So
even the alligators want to go beaching.
Yep. Dude, I've actually seen 2 alligators here at Lake Catherine in Hot Springs in the wintertime at that. So the first time I saw one, I was like, what the hell? Like, I didn't know what it was, but it looked like a log floating upstream. And I'm like, and I'm at the dam, so things just don't float upstream, And I was looking, and I was up at the parking lot. So you park up almost close to like where the gate entrance to the dam is, and then you have to walk down a flight of steps and get down. And I was looking from up there, and I was like, I don't know. And so I start walking down, and I get down the stairs, and I'm like walking up towards the water. And I'm like, son of a bitch, that's a freaking alligator. And it wasn't big. It was like maybe 4 foot, 5 foot. And I was like, holy shit. Like, what? First of all, it's wintertime. So what is it doing? Second of all, like, I didn't even know they were here. Like, we have an alligator farm here, and I've heard that there's some, obviously in the Delta, but in Hot Springs and at a cold water release of a dam, I was like, nah, I'm seeing stuff. So I kind of said, yeah, that's not what I saw. Although it went underwater, and I was like, okay. So I went out there, still stayed fishing. I didn't get in the water this time, but I stayed fishing for the bank. Well, then
don't trust it.
Right. Well, then the next year, by that time, I'd already completely forgot about it. Go to the exact same spot, and I'm out there in about waist deep water now, and I'm fishing for trout. Same thing, wintertime, they've stocked trout, and I'm out there, and I have a buddy with me that wanted to try to learn how to fly fish. He loves conventional fishing, and he wanted to try to learn how to fly fish. So we're on the bank for a good while, and I'm teaching him how to cast, and he kind of gets aggravated. He's like, fuck it, I'm just going to go back to my spinning gear. So I said, okay. So I walked out, and I'm out there waist deep water in my waders, and I'm fishing for these trout, and then I look over, and not 10 feet from me is this fucking alligator swimming upstream again. And so I was like, yeah, no, fuck this. And of course I didn't want to freak my buddy out. And so I kind of walk closer to the middle of the river where there's like a little island, and I'm standing on land, and I'm just keeping my eyes on that damn thing. And it swims up and goes underwater. And I was like, and I know for a fact that's what it was because I saw it up close and personal that time. Scared the shit out of me. But I was just what the fuck? You
were fishing for his food. Yeah. I would have cut the line at that point. I'd been like, no, I'm good. Did that deep sea fishing one time. I watched somebody cut a line because they didn't know what to expect. We were out there drum fishing or red, whatever we were catching a bunch of redfish, and we were down around the oil derricks, and this dude pulls up a 10-foot bull shark, and he's like, hell no! He cuts the line. Everybody's like, no, take it. It's
right.
I ain't lifting this bitch up.
But, dude, did I tell you that I got charged by one of those in Florida?
You did?
Yeah, dude. So I played football for the Punishers last year, or I guess earlier this year, and we had a second round of the playoffs in Defuniak Springs, Florida. Yes. So I'm over there. We ended up losing second round of the playoffs. Freaking sucked. End of the season. Next day, I was like, I got to get up and go fishing before I head home. I was like, it's not very often I come to Florida. I made sure I took my fly gear. So I was like, hell yeah. So I'm going to go out there, and I went and fished. And then I didn't have any luck. I was fishing over by the college. There's a college over there. And went fishing behind it where I heard there was some good fishing at. And I said, all right, well, didn't have any luck. So then I decided to go to a fly shop. And I want to say it was in Panama City Beach. And so I drive over there, go to this fly shop. It's called Old Florida Outfitters. And I'm hanging out over there talking with one of the guys that works there. And he's giving me all sorts of information on what's running and what to use and where at. And he gave me this spot by, I want to say it was maybe like Camp Helen State Park or something like that. And so I go out there, and it's a little windy, and the waves are extremely choppy, and there's not very many people at the beach. So I wade out, and of course it's summertime, and so I'm out there just, standing just with my shorts on and fishing. And I keep seeing, some fish swimming by, and I'm like, oh yeah, casting, and he said there was tarpon running out there. He said there was redfish. He said that sometimes you'll find a snook out there. And I was just like, hell yeah. Like, I'm just stoked. Those are 3 fish that I want to catch. And I'm out there, and the waves are just kicking my ass. So I'll be out there for about 30 minutes, come back and rest for about 5 minutes, go back out there. And he said, cast out towards the turquoise water. So there's the second sandbar. If I can get out there, that's where they're running. And I said, sweet. So at this point, I'm standing probably belly button deep water, and the waves are coming over my head, and it's just beating me to hell. So a wave will come, and then I'll back cast and launch my line, and then I'll have to kind of fish it back while I'm like being pummeled by waves. And I'll look over probably 45 degrees from me, maybe about 30 feet away, and I see this shadow. And I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, that's a tarpon. Like, this thing is freaking huge. I was like, that has to be a tarpon. And so I'll start casting at it. And as it starts coming closer to me and closer to me. And I'm like, that's not a fucking tarpon. That thing is too damn dark. Keep in mind, I'm 200 feet from the fucking beach. Like, I'd already done crossed one sandbar, went through a valley at another sandbar, and I'm on the outer edge of that sandbar casting into the deep water. And it starts coming up, and as the waves come, my feet are coming off the ground, and I'm going back down, and I look, and this thing just flip a switch straight at me. I have my fly rod in my hand, and I'm fucking like hitting it like that and hitting the ground, and it comes within inches of me and then scurries off. Dude, I've never been so scared in my life. That thing would have ate my lunch. It was like a 6-foot freaking bull shark.
Yeah, that would have been the point in time where I would have emitted another one of them noxious gases underwater,
right?
Like bomb went off, and that dude would have, I would have probably killed him right then and there just with that.
Right,
bro. That's great. I've actually never been fishing down in Florida. The only experience I have in Florida is the only experience I have in Florida is going to Orlando, going to Disney World. That's all I've got. Going and playing with Mickey Mouse. But no, that would be fun, dude. I've heard about fishing in Florida. One place that I want to go, like as soon as I get a chance to go, dude, I want to go to the Bahamas. Like I love the Caribbean.
I'm going to be in the Bahamas next year.
Water. Yeah, I'm
going in March, I think.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice, bro.
So we're gonna stop in the Keys, and then we're gonna have 3 stops in the Bahamas and going on a cruise. And I'm hoping one of those days, because I'm going with my girlfriend and her family, and they always take one day where they don't do an excursion. And so I'm gonna try to sweet talk them and see if maybe I can sneak away for a couple hours and do some fishing, because I don't know if I'm ever gonna go to the Bahamas again. And if there's a day that we're not doing an excursion, and the way that the currency difference is from here to there, I could hire a half-day guide for like $40 over there. And so if I could just hire a freaking guide and go catch some barracuda on the fly, shit.
Yeah, there you are. Yeah, no, dude, I'd love to go to the Bahamas, the Exuma Islands. Like everything's just so beautiful out there, bro. Yeah. Like I would love to do that. Cuba would be one place I'd love to go. I don't know what the restrictions are to go out there. I actually
almost non-existent.
It was Cuba would be a pretty cool place to go.
Yeah. Dude, there's some massive bass there. We actually had a listener in Cuba that reached out to me on Instagram, and me and Jose were talking about bass in Cuba, and he's like, dude, no lie, the bass here are nuts. And he sent me a picture of a guy at a gas station selling these largemouth bass, and dude, they're probably both well over 10 pounds, and he's just walking through the gas station trying to sell them. And I'm like, and he's like, that's like an everyday thing. I'm like, excuse me?
Yes, please. 2?
Right.
Can I have 2?
Yeah.
That would be cool. That would be cool to go do for sure. I'd love to, if I was to go deep sea fishing again or any kind of fishing out in the ocean, that would be something I'd want to go do is go clear water, a little bit warmer.
Yep.
Because you don't get a lot more than, because most people don't realize that about, or a little bit cooler, I guess, a little bit cooler because I think the Gulf is a little bit warmer than the Caribbean. The Caribbean is still warm water.
Yeah.
But then you get into the Atlantic, it's definitely a lot cooler. You get a lot more variety of fish.
Yeah.
Like great whites don't ever come into the Gulf, and then I don't think they ever really come into the Caribbean either.
I think there actually was a great white that was tracked into the Gulf a couple years ago. But crazy. It's not very often.
No.
And I don't think it was very deep in the Gulf either. Yep.
Yeah. Your tiger sharks like that.
Yeah. Threshers.
There's a lot of those. Dude, I was out at the beach one year. I was with it was me, the boys, and my ex-wife. We were out there. This had to be 6 years ago, and we were just chilling. Right, we got our spot. We're just relaxing, and you got all those jerk offs, sitting next to you with their front grill, holding fishing rods and everything. Right, they got like 7 rods. And it's like you're gonna step on one of the things. This dude, about the time we left, this dude pulled in a swordfish.
No shit.
Yeah. He's sitting there reeling. Awesome. All of a sudden, his pole went from here to there. And he reeled in the swordfish. And I'm sitting here like, dude, you were casting up 20 yards from where we were just swimming.
That's crazy.
He pulled one in right off the beach.
Dude, I've seen some massive sharks pulled out of there. I've heard of people catching marlin out there.
Yeah.
Like all sorts of stuff.
Go to the jetties. Go to the Port Aransas jetties, right, where the big boats come in.
Yeah.
They pull in all kinds of stuff, dude. There's dolphins in there. There's like bottlenose dolphins in there. There's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Boy, like anytime you go on the ferry, you see them.
Yeah. There's it's like they just hop up, they're just coming around and and I'm getting out, and of course you're sitting there doing this the whole time, right? Because the ferry is not stable at all. And all of a sudden you just see this dolphin just comes up, and it's like
I saved a baby bottlenose dolphin in Matagorda Bay, I think it was.
His name is Snowflake?
No. But yeah, no, he was stuck on the jetties, and he was probably maybe like, I don't know, 2 feet long, little bitty guy. Dude, I freaking love that movie.
Halftime. Just put me in, coach.
Right.
Rover said he hops over the bush.
Dude, I freaking love Jim Carrey. I like his movies that are not too over the top, and I think that the Ace Ventura movies are right there on the fringe where they're not too much, but they just get you going. I freaking love them.
I love, we've been actually having a movie marathon. Adam Sandler.
Dude, I freaking love Adam Sandler.
Yeah. 8 Crazy Nights is one of my favorite movies that he does. Yeah, it's hilarious.
I like the song.
Insulting movie you'll ever watch, but it's funny. Like Grown Ups is great. Happy Gilmore. Love Happy Gilmore.
Billy Madison.
Waterboy. Back to school. Oh God, dude, Waterboy. My kids cracked up at Waterboy. And it's funny too. I didn't realize, I figured it out a long time ago, but I when you start watching, like the caddy in Happy Gilmore is the quarterback in the Waterboy.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Dude, there's a lot of people that are the same. Like, so a lot of them are his friends, and then there's some that, and I'm assuming they're his friends, but they don't ever have big parts in movies. But you'll see them in most Adam Sandler movies. Because obviously Rob Schneider's one of the big ones, and then what's the other, the real David pale, weird looking dude who's the guy that tries to kill him?
Oh God, what's
some like Italian name or something?
Oh, Steve Buscemi.
Yeah, Steve Buscemi. He's in a lot of his movies.
Was a Big Daddy or whatever it was. Yep. His eyes are all crossed.
Yep.
You got my Oreo cookie pepper.
Yep. And then the other guy in the Waterboy that has a crooked eye. He's like, he talks like this.
Frog legs. There's Al and David Spade's in a lot of his movies.
Yeah, David Spade's
starting to pop up too. Those are we've been having like those 2 guys. Those are my favorites, man. But we've been having an Adam Sandler marathon.
That's awesome. I think me and Jose actually talked about that on one of the recent episodes. We were talking about movies, and I think we got on a little Adam Sandler skit. I freaking love Adam Sandler.
He's hilarious, dude. Grown Ups was funny. Both of them were hilarious.
I like the part where when they don't believe that Rob Schneider's daughters are his daughters, and then it shows the other one that like that one. I believe that one's your daughter. She has a swim cap on.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Chris Rock in that movie's pretty funny.
Yeah. Chris Rock. Dude, I love Nick Swartzen in Grown Ups too.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I like him in freaking Just Go With It.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That movie? He's like, my name is Dolph Lundgren. And what does he do? He's like a sheep therapist or some shit like that.
Yeah. I love the part, though. I love this part as soon as he pulls up in the bus in Grown Ups. But, went to a concert, a very reliable doctor, gave me some pills, make me feel better. You feel horrible. It's like, okay. And like they hang him upside down, and he's just like hanging upside down on the bus. Oh man! You ever actually seen
that
those?
Movie?
You ever seen those? And he did it in that movie. They had a skit where he's like, "There's a boat in there," and he pushes his button or pulls a string. I can't remember which one. And this boat comes, just hauling out of that box and throws him into the next aisle, shoves everything over. Who did that?
Hilarious.
Who did that? Yeah, that was that whole movie is funny.
That'd be something that your friend Zach growing up would have done.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, Zach Ware. That dude. He was always into doing dumb stuff like that. We had a few of those friends growing up.
Hell, me and Bradley were some of them.
I wasn't gonna say nothing, but we're on this subject. I definitely had a few of those friends for sure that were they were doing dumb shit all the time.
I remember me and Bradley one year, he got boxing gloves for Christmas, and we just took it upon ourselves to just beat the shit out of each other, like randomly. I remember we got kicked out of Kohl's one time. This was right when Kohl's first opened in Kyle, over there in the shopping center across from AGB, and we went in there and started beating the shit out of each other. We got kicked out, and then another time we came back in and we got kicked out because we were posing with the mannequins, so they kicked us out. Like, we've been kicked out of Kohl's so many times. We used to go to Steeplechase Park and just like we'd walk in the middle of the playground. And I remember one time they were having like a little get together under that little covered area right next to the playground, and we just walked in the middle of this party and just started beating the shit out of each other. It was funny.
Steeplechase is where all the fights were, man. That was where if you wanted to settle your differences, you didn't do it on campus. You did it over there, Steeplechase.
Walk over to Steeplechase right by the creek.
The
frisbee golf
parking pond that they had. That was a play. So you remember Zach Thomas, right?
Yeah.
All right, so he was my neighbor. Brent Pickering, he was his neighbor. Corey Yaros lived down the street, and then Joe Mostauskas lived on the other side. And remember Gary Hartman? Remember him? So Gary is
coach now. He's a high school
football coach. Yeah. He's where was he at? He was at Luling, but he moved. I think he was at Lockhart, and he went to like Luling, and I think he's somewhere else now. I think he's in the Braunfels. The last time I checked. But yeah, they all lived down there, right?
Yeah.
Well, Zach and I, like Zach was probably the only guy that could ever beat me in a boxing match, but he couldn't handle me in a wrestling match.
Yeah.
Because I hurt people when I wrestle. And most of it's intentional. Joe, I beat him so many times.
Joe was a scrappy little shit, though.
He was skinny, he was tall, and his dad didn't mind if I had to teach him a lesson. And so I always, me and him got into it a couple of times. Brent thought he could try me. We get it, but we had boxing gloves. Like I had a boxing, bag or a punching bag in my garage, and I had all these gloves. Everybody's like, "Yo, let's do it." I had UFC gloves, bitch pillows as I call them, and we went at it in the front yard all the time. And it was funny too because Zach was on probation or something like that. He had talked to his probation officer because he got in some serious trouble.
Yeah,
and he's sitting in the car talking to his probation officer while me and Joe are sitting there just beating the shit out of each other. My stepdad comes home and he's like, "What the fuck are y'all doing?" I'm like, "Teach him a lesson, Adrian." Everybody starts laughing. And boom, just dropped him. That was I think I actually almost broke Joe's rib one time because he went down, and then Corey, I was like, "Who's next?" I'm all pumped up, right? Like I'm not even close to the size I am now. I'm all pumped. Like, "Who's next?" I'm looking at Corey, short little bastard, and he's like, "Yeah, getting out of here. I ain't want nothing to do with this." Nope. Yeah, we used to.
Dude, I recently saw that freaking Corey married Ashley Luton.
Yeah.
I was like, where did that come from?
I saw that he got married, and I was like, what?
Yeah. When I saw who it was, I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to say nothing bad about him, but two completely different people I would have never guessed they would have ended up together.
You want to hear some funny shit? Okay, so this is what happens, America, the world that is listening. This is what happens when you grow up in a small ass little town called Kyle, Texas. Okay, Brent Pickering. Do you remember a girl named Danielle Snell?
Yes.
Okay, so you remember Brent and Danielle were dating?
Yeah.
Okay. Guess what they are now?
What?
That is his stepsister, bro. His dad married her mom.
No shit.
Yeah, because his dad and Virginia I love his mom. His mom's so cool. Virginia's awesome. They divorced, and then he married.
That's crazy.
He married Danielle's mom, and I'm like, so you were banging your stepsister? Is that where we're? Is that what's happening here? Like, how did that?
Time.
Like, yeah, at the time, no, but now it's like
that's crazy.
I just want to be invited to like one Thanksgiving dinner,
right?
So I can stoke. I just want to stoke the flames one time, and I'm gonna bounce. I'm gonna take some ham on the way out with me, and some freaking, some bread rolls.
Right.
But I'm poking the flames, bro. Like So yeah, dude. Like Kyle.
That's crazy.
Kyle's weird, dude. Like everybody kind of like married.
He doesn't live there anymore, does he?
Brent does, yeah. He's still in that area.
He's with Amber. Aren't him and Amber together? Amber Smith?
I think so.
I think so. Right before I moved to Arkansas, Brent came and did my pest control at my house there in San Marcos, and I was like, dude, I haven't seen you in freaking years, man. I haven't seen him in forever.
Yeah, he's doing good. Last I checked, he's doing really good.
That's awesome.
And then Corey's doing good. Joe, I haven't talked to Joe in a while. We had some tension.
Either.
There was a lot of tension between it, which I don't understand why. That was kind of pointless. Zach and I still have talked every now and again.
He's up in Colorado, isn't he?
No, actually, I think he's back in Texas.
Oh, no shit.
I think he's back in Texas. He tried to get into the whole rap game and all that stuff. I don't know if he had any real success. But he was doing good. Last I talked to him, he was doing good, man. He was making some money. I think he's got a kid now.
No shit.
He's 3 times the size that he was. That boy put on some weight.
Yeah, he has. Last time I saw him.
Yeah, he put on some serious weight.
Dude, you know who's freaking blowing up in the rap game?
Who?
You remember Eddie Haddad?
Fucking for real,
dude. He has some fucking hits, bro. He has some hits. I'll have to send you some. Like, I listen to a lot of his music. He's come a long way. He's freaking good, man. I think he lives in LA now or some shit.
Kyle, Texas, man. You either got out because you hit it big, or you're still there because you didn't. You had to get out. You had to.
Yeah.
Like Trey at Beta. Remember him? He played baseball.
Dude, he's doing real good with his barbershop and shit.
Dude, he's cutting hair for the Longhorns. He's going to BET Awards. He's going to all
freaking Jeremiah Flynn. His photography shit's taking off like crazy.
Yeah.
Dude, he's doing good. Yeah. Freaking John Martin's doing really well. Did you listen to the episode we had him on?
I did actually.
Yeah, he's doing really well.
Yeah, he's definitely doing well for himself. Didn't he have a sister or something like that?
Yeah, Abigail. She's married to Devin. Devin Fox.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I thought that was it. Yeah, no, I remember John. My biggest interactions with John were in middle school. Beyond that, I don't think we really had too much interaction there. Remember the Smith twins?
Alex and Vicky.
Yeah, Vicky, I still keep up with her.
I haven't talked to them in years.
Yeah, I think I might have pissed off Alex a while back, which par for the course. That's pretty much the name of my game. I just piss them all off. But yeah, no, I think they're doing really well. There's who else is kind of a big? I think Jacob Sendeo. I think he went and played minor league ball. I think Chad went and played some minor league ball.
No shit. Chad Miles.
Chad Miles. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of those guys. I mean, there's some of those guys got out. That's for sure. They definitely got out.
Dude, freaking Hunter Lehman. You remember him? He's a couple years younger than us.
Yep.
So he's doing big stuff on ranches down in South Texas right now. He has his own company doing like consulting and shit.
Damn.
No. He was actually on a podcast called, I think, Grazing Grass, and I listened to that episode, and it was a pretty interesting episode. So he's doing pretty well for himself.
We had a lot of farm boys growing up. I mean, we had farms surrounding our. I mean, it was like 4-H down there. I mean, it was. It wasn't, which is weird because we didn't have a 4-H program.
Right.
I think Hayes might have.
Yeah.
But
I think they did.
Yeah, I mean, it was a podunk ass farm boy town, which is crazy to think about Kyle being a small town because I mean, really. At one point in time, I think when we were there were 50,000 people there, but it didn't look like it.
Dude, there was less than that when I moved there in like 2005 or something like that. Like there was probably 10,000 people there. Hell, we didn't even have streetlights when I moved there. The first streetlight we got was right there across from the Dairy Queen, and I hated it. And that was back. Yeah, that was back before everything was one way on the frontage roads. And
I remember, when you had to like the frontage roads were still like you could drive this way and get on, and people coming this way. Yeah, that would confuse some people today.
Yeah.
But yeah, before I got there, before the HEB was built, it was like
Yeah.
07, 08, something like that. I got there
before the hospital was built. That was just that little house on the hill.
Oh, dude, if you got hurt, you were going to San Marcos. You were fucked.
Yeah,
yeah.
That hospital was shit.
I've been to that hospital a few times. We remember when I got my eye split open?
Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah,
Yep.
unsanctioned practice. We're going for a pop fly. Cesar Nicklaus, who's now a lawyer, ironically enough.
Doesn't he have like a cabin business too?
I think he does. I don't know much if he does much with it, but I know his law firm is getting fucking huge, dude. He's blowing up.
Hell, I think he posted something like 5 years ago saying he'd already made his first $1 million or some shit like that.
Oh yeah, he's made it 10 times over. Like if I had his money, I'd throw mine away. But I was going for a pop fly. Now remember, I'm taller than Cesar, right?
Yeah.
This dude, I mean, remember Cesar?
Freaking built, but he's a little bit shorter.
His six pack had six packs, bro. So he's running for a pop fly. I can't hear him. Elbow comes right in, right, and just splits me open. And I'm laying on the ground. Santiago, Big Santi, he comes over and goes, "Hey, you got knocked the fuck out. You all right, bro?" And I'm walking. Dude, blood just everywhere, just all over the place. I'm just getting bloody. Walking across a soccer field, walking across a football field. They had a JV game going on or something, or a soccer game or something like that. Walking down to the football practice field. You remember how far of a walk that is?
Yeah, it was
and
stupid.
I'm gushing. Like I'm getting lightheaded, dude. Yeah, that was right before. I think it was right about the time the hospital was being finished. I had to go to the trainer's room. She freaked out. She had to like stir up everything, so my eyelid was just like pinched upward. I couldn't close my eye. I was like this the whole time, and we had to drive all the way to San Marcos to get stitched up. They had to shove a needle back in here so that way they can numb it. They're like, well, this part's gonna hurt, but when we're done,
right?
My mom like collapsed. She just bloop.
I went to the San Marcos hospital when I broke my leg in, I think it was senior year. At first they took they told me to go to the urgent care. The school did. And because I broke my leg in practice, after school practice.
Oh,
and dude. And so they sent me to the urgent care. The urgent care said that I had a high ankle sprain is what they said. And it turned out that my tibia, fibula, and ankle were broken.
Ow.
But, yeah. And so I went 2 days. My foot kept falling to the side. And I was just like, man. Because like apparently my foot was like backwards on the field. And so the trainers were gone. The student trainers were there. They straightened it up. They wrapped it in freaking cellophane with ice. And I sat on the mule for about an hour until the trainers got there. They ended up, checking it out. They said, yeah, you need to go to the urgent care. I went to the urgent care, sat there for about an hour. They x-rayed it. They said it was a high ankle sprain, put me in a splint, and sent me home. Well, at this time, I lived on my own. I've been on my own since I was 14. And so I was kind of hobbling around everywhere trying to get stuff done. And so when I'm like trying to crutch around and like get my cereal in the morning, my foot's like flopping everywhere. And so I called the urgent care. I said, hey, something ain't right. Like my foot is just kind of flopping around. And it hurt like hell. And then they told me how to keep it elevated when I'd sleep. So I'd put a couple pillows under my leg, and my foot would like kind of fall to the side. And they said, well, it's just because you have no strength in your ankle. You have no stability right now because of the injury. I said, okay. Well, then I was like, but I feel movement in there. They're like, oh, that's just the fluid because it was so swollen. And after 2 days of dealing with excruciating pain, I went to the San Marcos hospital, and there was a doctor there. His name was Dr. Pennington. He was an ortho there. Dude was freaking built like a refrigerator. He played O-line for Ole Miss. And he's like, yeah, dude, it's broken. Like he just saw it. He's like, yeah, it's broken. Took x-rays. Turned out I had a tib fib and a broken ankle. So
the best part about being injured was being able to use the elevator. And of course that was all the cuties that we went to school with, they all wanted to carry our bags. That was like the best part about being injured.
The thing that sucks for me is I would go from so football was fourth period, right? So first period I would have I think first period I had English in like the furthest end, and then second period I had choir, which was down by the athletic hallway. Third period I had history, which is at the other end of the school. Fourth period was football. And so, dude, I was having I would get to go up and down the stairs, but every other time there's nothing down past the cafeteria and everything to the choir and athletic hallway. I hated it. It was horrible.
What I hated was because like for baseball seventh period, right? So like first period I had I can't remember. I'll just go with my junior year. So baseball, or junior year, excuse me, Jason junior year. I had first period was math, so I was up in the C wing, and then I'd have to go downstairs second period over to like the back end of where choir was, so I could go to athletic training, the athletic training class, and then have to come back up to the B wing, upstairs B wing, to go to science, then go downstairs A wing for some other BS class that we had to take, and then you're back over. Well, then you had lunch, and then you go. Then we had to go back into one of the extracurricular classes we had that was down there by
the D wing,
the choir. Yeah, like the dumbass wing is what it really should have been called. And then back up to the upstairs B wing for another class, and then you go downstairs, and then you're back over here, and I'm just like, dude. And then you gotta, I mean, you're hauling ass down to the far end of the athletic wing because our lockers were at the back end of everything. It was like they just said "fuck you" to baseball, and was like, "Nope, that's your."
Didn't we share a locker room with soccer too?
Yeah.
Baseball?
Yeah, dude.
I don't know about later. I know freshman year we did.
I hated that, man. I hated sharing a locker with those guys. I actually hated sharing a locker with every single one of the guys on the baseball team. Yeah, that was terrible. I hated. Of course, I didn't like half the players that I played with.
Yeah.
Who was that one kid? I can't remember his name. He was a shortstop. Pissed me off every time we played. You hit a pop fly. He was on JV. Hit a pop fly. Him and Brandon were getting into it. Brandon was a catcher. And this kid, I can't remember his name. He had the long curly hair. Couldn't catch a fucking pop fly to save his life. Like the ball would come and it would literally just miss his glove. You know how many innings I could have been out of? Speaking of camping,
catch the damn pop fly.
Yeah, but speaking of camping, this dude's camping out a shortstop, not catching a damn thing. Like, it was so bad, dude. Like, it was bad. We had a terrible team, but
they were good. They had a good stretch there for a little while.
Yeah, for a little bit. Coach Rumsfeld, when he was there, Coach Temple or Hempel, Hempel. Yeah, Coach Hempel was a cool guy.
I liked him. He's also, I think he was a safeties coach too in football, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he was a defensive coordinator for a little while. Yeah. Coach Robinson, though, I hated that guy. Not gonna lie. Remember Coach Robinson?
Yeah. Heftier guy.
Yeah. Well, Hefty. We'll call it Hefty. I hated him. God, I hated him. It was terrible. I did not like him at all.
I don't think I ever played for him.
He was the varsity baseball, one of the varsity baseball coaches. He had terrible strategy. That short run where they sucked, that was him.
Yeah.
And then he tried to cut his teeth on coaching football, and I think eventually Coach Davis has shut him up.
Yeah.
Remember Coach Davis always talking about Drew Brees, because he coached Drew Brees over at Westlake High School. Yeah, Coach. Yeah, that was a lot of fun,
dude. I went back a couple years after we graduated and saw him when he was still coaching, and I guess he had ended up getting his leg completely amputated. He was getting around on a artificial leg. And,
that's right. Yeah, he did have that leg problem.
Yeah, with a motorcycle accident or something like that. So
he was
still in high spirits.
Yeah. Remember that? So this is a guy that I had a lot of interaction with. Remember Officer John Deese?
Yeah. Officer Dees.
Yeah.
Yep.
That big ass golf ball not on the side of his head. Oh man, I had so many interactions with him.
What was that? I never asked him.
Either he got smacked so hard because he forgot to take the trash out on time, or it was a growth of some kind. I think it was just some growth. It wasn't a tumor or anything, but something happened for sure. But anywhere I was, he was.
Dude, he gave me so much shit
I'll leave
that
open to interpretation. I'll leave that for everyone else to,
right.
Anywhere.
Dude, he gave me so much shit one day because I was in a rush. I was late for school for reasons. And it was raining outside and I was doing some extracurriculars before school, and I got to school late and I was just ready to haul ass into school and left my keys in my truck with it running.
Oh, man.
And it ran all fucking day. And
I remember that.
I remember in sixth period, I was like, looking for my keys in my backpack. I was like, where the hell are my keys at? And I go outside and, I'm looking everywhere. I'm going to previous classes and I can't find them anywhere. And I go outside and I look through the window and my keys are still in the ignition. And I'm like, damn it, I left them there. And of course my door was locked and I was like, shit. So then I called my brother. He had a spare. He came and unlocked it and it was freaking on and it ran out of gas. I was like, son of a bitch. But yeah, Officer Dees gave me so much shit for that.
Oh yeah. He did. He gave all of us hell. And it was funny. Every time I'd get out in the hallway, he's just looking at me. And I'm like, what? And then baseball games. He'd come and enjoy the baseball game. And, he's standing next to me all the whole time. Because I always stood at the front of the dugout. If you're a really good baseball player, you want to be, everybody thinks it's kissing ass, but that's where you stand. Like, you want to be where the action is. You want to be watching everything. He's standing right there. He's just watching, like, what are you doing here? He goes, I'm just enjoying the baseball game, a junior varsity baseball game on a fucking Wednesday. Don't you have bingo to go play or something like that? Like, what are you doing here? Like, liar. You ain't, no.
Making sure you ain't getting in trouble.
Yeah, I'm like, how am I going to get in trouble? I got a 2-hour window and I'm here,
Right.
Like, there is no trouble. And of course, my mom was there. So how's he doing? And I'm like, oh shit, here we go. I don't know how I stayed playing baseball, dude. I wasn't in class. I was, I didn't have any luck with the women. It was one of those things. Like, I was always around the girls. I didn't have any luck with the girls, but I had luck with the girls, if that makes sense. Like, I didn't have, like, I was always swinging for the fences. Like, it was an interesting time. But Kyle's a weird place, man.
Kyle's a very weird place.
Weird place. And I didn't help it any. Nobody's got a good story about me, that's for sure. Especially the girls. None of the ladies have a good story about me. We should keep it that way.
Growing up in Kyle was fun. I say it that way on purpose. Growing up in Kyle was fun.
The last place I can remember that you as a kid could walk across the highway without getting murdered.
Right.
Like me and Joe walked over. Remember the bakery, the old bakery in Kyle?
Yeah.
It's across the highway there on the main downtown, historical downtown area.
Pie Company?
Yeah, Pie Company. Yeah, Joe and I would walk across and go to the Pie Company, and then there was a pizza place down the end of it. I can't remember, Fox Pizza or something like that.
No, it was what was it called? 316 Pizza.
Yeah, there you go. We'd walk across the highway.
Yep. We do that all the time. Because you remember Tony DeAnda?
Yeah.
So I used to hang out with Tony DeAnda all the time. Him and
I got a yearbook over here. I can look all these people up.
Freaking Moreno was his last name. Danny. Yeah, Danny. Daniel Moreno?
Yeah.
So me and Daniel Moreno and Tony DeAnda used to hang out all the damn time. And so I would always walk across the highway, go hang out with them. Hell, I remember one time, me and Marcus Casillas one time on a snow day when we walked over there. I don't remember the name of the neighborhood they lived in. We walked over there. We found a freaking rabbit out of nowhere in the snow underneath the shed. And like, I think Marcus kept it. Like, I think he had it for years. I think he named it Playboy and kept it for freaking years. But, yeah, we were just going around in random neighborhoods, drawing penises in the snow in the middle of the roads, all on the other side of town. Like, that was just kind of what we did. So people would wake up, and I swear, literally, we went outside at probably 3 or 4 in the morning and just went all around our neighborhoods, drawing a bunch of penises in the road in the snow. And then we're like, well, let's cross the highway. So we went over to the other side of town and started drawing penises all over there. Oh, that's stuff that you do in Kyle, Texas.
Yeah, because you have nothing better to do. You know, and at that time too, like, we didn't have, like, what was it, our freshman sophomore year, the first iPhone came out.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
I didn't get my first smartphone until college.
Dude, I didn't get my first smartphone until I started making 6 figures. Like, I was broke, dude.
Dude, I remember I got a phone that was a touchscreen. It wasn't a smartphone. You couldn't get apps on it, but it was a touchscreen. And I thought I was like the shit when I got that
Blackberries.
And then I found out that I hated it because you can't text on a touchscreen without looking at your screen during class.
Right?
That's what I hated, because I got it senior year and I was like, this sucks, because I was used to I had a Razor, and so there was the ridges and you could feel what buttons, and you text T9, you know. And once I got that touchscreen, I was like, fuck, I can't text during class. This sucks.
Yeah, that was no, dude, we grew up, we didn't have the most money, so yeah, it was tough. I barely remember you going to college. I tried going to college. I wasn't smart enough for that.
I went one semester. Well, I went to Texas State one semester, and then I went to ACC off and on for freaking years. But
yeah, I went to ACC for like a semester and then Grand Canyon University online. But when you're raising these kids by yourself, it's like you ain't got
right.
time for that. But yeah, I mean, when I started making my own money, I got one, but I didn't get one unless Rhonda could get one.
Right.
And all about Rhonda. That woman, she's like she was always that woman. It's like walking around with a Virginia ham under her arm, but crying she didn't have any bread. She if she didn't have it, I couldn't have it, right? So it was just one of the it was one. So I had to have money for two, and so I didn't really get to buy my first iPhone until I started making good money. Yeah, and they were still expensive then. Jesus. Yeah, but
no, I mean, just to get a deposit, just to get a line for some of the freaking cell phone carriers back then, you had to pay $300 just to get an account. It was stupid. That's why I had Sprint for the longest time, because I only had a $200 deposit to get an active
Cricket,
account.
bro. Cricket, bro.
Well, dude, Cricket didn't exist back then. It was called something else.
It did in
really?
high school. Yeah, it did. Boost was another one.
Because I would get the AT&T cards from Walmart. Because for the longest time I had a Nokia. I had a brick Nokia, and I would go get the $20 card from Walmart.
Best phone
and
ever.
Then and dude, I freaking lost mine in the creek. I've dropped it in water. Hell, one time, you know those sweaters where you have a front pocket, just the one front pocket. But I remember one time I had to piss so bad, and I ran into my restroom, and I already had my junk out by the time I got into the restroom. So I felt so bad.
Pissed all over your phone.
Well, right when I get to the toilet, like I stop and I'm peeing in the toilet, and the phone goes whoop, straight out of that pocket right into the toilet, and I was like, oh! And so
this is going on my face.
Luckily, the phone was too big to go down the drain, so I just flushed the toilet, waited for the water to go down, reached in and grabbed it, and then I washed it with soap and everything in the sink. And then just let it dry. Dude, that phone never had issues.
No, and they got rid of it because of that problem.
Yeah,
they weren't making any money. Yeah, I had one of those Nokia phones, man. Those things were awesome, and they had the games, the old simple games.
Dude, Snake and Pong. Yeah, I freaking love that phone.
Oh man, I took mine. I took mine camping one time, and I think I dropped it in the fire, pulled it out, and it was.
Dude, I took mine. We used to go play airsoft back in the woods behind the trails, and me and Bradley would go out there, and I lost mine one time. It fell out of my pocket into the creek, and I lost it. I didn't find it till like 2 hours later in the creek still. Never had issues with it.
We used to go paint. Remember Waterleaf where I lived?
Yeah.
There were some trails back in there, right? To keep on the trail thing. We were some trails back in there. We'd go fucking paintballing back in there. And one of us had the bright idea. I'm sure you could tell which one of us did. Had the bright idea to freeze the paintballs.
Oh, dude, I've done it. It's not fun.
Oh man, that hurt.
I had one time that I shot somebody that it freaking embedded in their skin, and I felt horrible. That shit looked disgusting.
I'm just gonna say we agreed to keep distance because we were test firing these to see what kind of damage it do. And when you're watching the bark explode off a fucking tree, you're like. Okay, so we need to keep a 50-yard buffer at least between us. Kyle was a different place, man. Like you either did stupid stuff or you were just inside.
Yeah.
Like we used to go play baseball in the rain. You remember what my nickname was growing up?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so remember Victoria Villegas?
Yeah.
Okay, one of her friends that was from Florida or whatever. She was a big Florida State fan, actually. Used to call me Bobby. I don't know why. I don't care. Probably. You know what? Probably. That's probably where it came from. Damn it, Bobby. Because, dude, we would play baseball in the rain together. I got no good reason to be out there playing baseball in the rain.
With a metal bat.
With a metal bat. Thunder and lightning. But if those two girls would have asked me to do it, and they did, I did it. Yeah, that was an interesting time. But that was all you could do out there, dude. Like, it was, this looks stupid. Let's do it.
Yeah.
It was a whole different time. But you know what? That was where, I mean, I think we all became outdoorsmen because of it, because it was like you had to be outside.
Exactly. Hell, I didn't have internet for the first time until I was making close to six figures. I'd already had my house built and everything. And the only reason I got internet was because I ended up having to get shoulder surgery and was out of work for like 9 months. And I got so damn bored. Yeah. And so I ended up getting internet. That's the first time I'd ever had internet at home.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we always had some sort of internet. We didn't always have cable though. But when we did have cable, I was always watching wrestling.
Right.
Like when we got our first apartment, because I dropped out of high school. Remember that?
Yeah.
So I dropped out. We got foreclosed on our house. This was during the Obama recession.
Mm-hmm.
Those shovel ready jobs that weren't shovel ready.
Yeah.
So my stepdad lost his job. Mom was like, her entire mortgage business went belly up. So we had to leave. So we went to the east side of Austin. LBJ High School is where I was supposed to go.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're not familiar with the east side of Austin and LBJ High School.
Back then. It's different now, but back then. Yeah.
Yeah. Back then, I went from being a majority to a minority. Let's put it that way. A huge minority. Like it was different. And there was also a lot of gang related activity going on. I stuck out like a sore thumb, dude. So I was like, I watched a kid pull a gun on another kid in right at a locker. And I was just like, nope, okay, I'm out. And so I went and got a job, right? So I dropped out of high school. And that was it. Got my first place right there at 183 in Anderson Mill.
Mm-hmm.
I had my first apartment, but this tells you everything. My first apartment was $545 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where are you gonna find that now?
You ain't, dude.
Nowhere.
I remember when I first started looking for my first apartment, I was looking over there off William Cannon, right there by the Academy. Speaking of Academy of Sports and Outdoors, across from the Academy there at William Cannon, there's an apartment complex there, and the apartments there, I was looking at getting a two bedroom apartment in Austin at that time was, I think, $435 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, not a nice area by any means, but yeah.
No, and I mean, even where I was, it was still. I mean, it was okay. It was right on the cusp of Williamson County, so it was right there at Cedar Park, 620 and 183.
Yeah.
So it was kind of right in that area, but like it was still worked, and I thought when we upgraded, because when we had Avery, I thought when we upgraded to like $720 a month, I was like, oh my God, how am I going to afford that on $10 an hour,
And now you're looking at $2,500 a month for
now,
a 3-bedroom.
Oh, dude, now I'm sitting here like $545 a month is like my auto insurance for, a few vehicles, or it's, cable bill or a phone bill is like $300. I'm sitting here like, how the hell did I do that? Like, dude, that was, you couldn't camp out somewhere today for a month under $500. There's no way.
Yep.
There's no way. Like it's goofy, man. It's crazy. But we'll do another show one of these days. We'll need to for sure. Maybe stay on topic.
Dude, this podcast never stays on topic, ever. That's kind of what me and Jose are known for. That's kind of how me and you are. Like we just get together. We don't get together very often, but whenever we do, we're always like all over the place. So
tell you what, your viewers would definitely enjoy seeing us cracking open a cold one and sharing some of them stories too, because we got plenty of those.
We need to make it happen.
Yeah, we definitely need to get when Jose gets back on, though. We definitely need to get one with him because, I'm sure there's quite a few interesting things. Because I know there was some other stuff you wanted to talk about when he gets back, and we could definitely do something with that. Dude, anytime, man. You tell me when to come on, I'll be on.
Hell yeah, we appreciate it, man. And for the listeners that have made it through this almost 2 hours of podcast, thank y'all for listening to the end, and we'll catch y'all next time.
This has been Wildlife Outdoors. Thanks for listening. Follow us on Facebook at Wildlife Outdoors and on Instagram at wild.life.outdoors. Let's go live life on the wild side.